1098-765-4321. Welcome, welcome, welcome. It's been a minute, guys. This is your fearless host, Spartanzilla, Kwafo Adakwa here, bringing you fun and excitement because this coming week is the 2021 NFL Draft. This is ZSN's Draft Preview. There's two new faces you probably haven't seen. They're very close to me, my brothers, literally my brothers, on the screen here that are going to walk you through some analysis as it relates to the 2021 NFL Draft. Get you start thinking about what you want to do from a standpoint when we get in the fantasy draft season, in July and August. So let's go on my screen in my upper left. We got the man, the myth, the legend, Ron Bacon, rocking the ZSN shirt. Ron, how you doing today?
Good, doing well. Excited to talk a little bit about these guys, trying to change their lives and family fortunes here in this draft. So it's exciting.
And Ron is over here, but Ron played at the college level in the trenches, so that's why he's here. The three of us have some really fun dialogue, be it via Zoom or be it via calls or be it via text. So I thought, let's bring that to the people that love ZSN. Let's bring that right to them. So that's what we're doing. In my lower left, my brother, my little brother, John Kargbo. What's up, John? How are you, man?
I'm feeling good, man. Excited to be on the show and share some knowledge with your viewers. The NFL draft is definitely one of the most exciting times of the year. Everybody's chomping at the bit to get back to watching some football. So I'm excited to talk about these young prospects coming in and to be on the show.
Yeah, love it. And again, John played football, wrestled at the college level. So again, these guys they're coming at you with some analysis and some stuff that you're probably not going to find other places else. Forget Todd McShay, forget Mel Kiper. This right here, we're bringing you the stuff free 99 on YouTube, baby. Like on the channel, subscribe, like, follow. We're bringing you this content, on a Saturday night. Some people are out at the club. We are breaking this down because when we get to fall, you guys follow ZSN. We're going to make some bread on the DraftKings, FanDuel, sports betting legal where we all live here in the great state of Michigan. So you're going to make some money following this type of stuff and trying to understand the game of football a little bit better. We're going to have a big football season. So you gentlemen ready to do this?
Let's go.
All right.
Let's go.
So what we want to do for the show today is we want to break it down somewhat position by position. We won't go through the exhaustive list. There's a lot of different places you can go. Again, the slick back Mel Kiper has his draft preview. Folks at Pro Football Focus do an excellent job. They have some previews as well. But we're going to break down some of the position groups, let you know some of the guys we think will stand out and be big players as we get in the fall. We're not really going to go into the draft in terms of what team's going to trade up, do this, and what have you. Really just focus on the players and the kids and the guys that we watch. I mean, we spend a lot of time on Saturdays watching college football, playing college football DFS. And so we want to break down both sides of the ball for you because it is impactful, both sides of the ball. And, want to let you know what we see as players to watch for the 21 season. So with that being said, Ron, I want to start with you. There's D-line. That is your bread and butter. That's what you love to do. Is what you still coach. Looking at the D-line prospects in that, that top grouping, walk us through a couple guys you like, positionally at the out of the defensive line, either ends or interior linemen.
Yeah, the first one is it's always obvious, and it just ends up being disgusting because it's from Alabama, and they always have this guy that's just a freak of nature, Christian Barmore, 6'4", 310 pounds, interior lineman. I think he's the only person that really changes anything from the D-line position. We're big Aaron Donald fans here, and we talk about interior D linemen who alter the flow of games and deciding how you got to do stuff. This guy may be the closest in this draft. And, you're always going to get something out of an Alabama defensive lineman. They're going to play for you. but at 6'4", it's a really tall interior defensive lineman and 310 pounds carrying around easy. And SEC, one of the top players, interior, and still raw by some people's assessments. I was reading some of his assessments, and for someone to consider an Alabama player with more upside, that's just terrifying. To what he could turn into.
I agree with that one. He's an absolute monster.
And being in Big Ten country, I'll pick a second one. Davion Nixon, Iowa. Really good. He didn't play last year. So this is the really hard part about this draft. Whatever GM's digging into old tape, you also have to look at 2019. You got a ton of guys who didn't play, So these are two that I really like. I like him. He the year before, dominant defensive lineman in the Big Ten. And I actually physically, until I was starting to dig in, I forgot about him. I was considering other guys and thinking about him like, it was 2 years ago. So this has been one of the really hardest drafts to analyze, at one of the hardest positions to really evaluate and find if they're going to be successful.
No doubt.
So there's two that I really like.
Ron, while we're on the D-line, just looking at that again, any thoughts on the kid out of Washington, Levi Onwuzurike? I really just
I think I was avoiding him. Yeah, I got him. He's in the top 5, obviously. I was avoiding him because of his name. And I just I want to talk about him because he's really good. He's a first rounder.
Hey, John, mom's watching. She's gonna be upset with that. We just butchered that guy's name.
You can't. We gotta get you up on the West African pronunciations, Ron.
I need a book, and you know what?
You gotta get those right, man. Yeah. that's like when Quapo goes through the drive-through, and it's like, yeah, I got something for Quafo, Edequan.
Yes,
that's great. And what about the guy? What about the Miami DN? Jalen Phillips, any thoughts there?
Man, he's the one. Like, you're talking about the problem child. Montez Sweat type of guy, like sudden, real game changer, wiggle to him. Like, these are the guys, I say I'm a recovering Lions fan. I'll be the first one in the streets if they win anything. Yeah. I've taken my heart out of it. But these are the kind of guys they never have that are real game changers, like really shifty guys you got to slide cut protection for, all that kind of stuff.
The people you have to adjust for. Yeah, we never seem to have the guy where you put your hand, when you get ready for the game, I got to dedicate to take care of this problem. Right. Or my whole scheme has to adjust to make sure to account for this. The Lions never have that on the defensive side of the ball. We don't. I can't remember the last time we have. I'm 36 years old.
Get us in the hole. We'll start talking about the Lions.
I don't even want to do that, but just a perfect example. Yeah. Active, big body, and even in the Big Ten, he's the kind of guy typically, who has him? Ohio State, typically, if you're in the North Midwest, who's got one. They usually have two of these guys, but he's the most unique prospect in this thing. From that perspective.
Yeah, 6'6", size, great size at 6'6".
What about this guy, which he's from the school that we won't do that on the show, but I'll just let it be known I'm a Spartan. We don't like to talk about those guys down the road. But, Kwity Paye, he's number one on all the draft boards at that position, at the end position. I don't personally see it. He's big. He's big. He's physical, but I don't know if he necessarily warrants that. And that's not because of my bias, because of those guys. I'll give credit where credit's due. I just don't know if I see that from him.
Yeah, if I've got a choice, I think Phillips, to me, at that size, that explosiveness is the way. Again, forget the Michigan State bias. Like, I think Phillips is a guy that could change your fortunes really quick on the line. So, all right.
Yeah. Yeah, let me speak on Paye really quick before we move on.
Yeah,
I think that I seen his bio. I'm the biggest Spartan fan there is as well. I watched his bio, I watched his family story, kind of where he came from, and just really, I kind of fell for him. I had him in Rashawn Gary's category, but I'm going to take him out of that category just because he's got a story of immigration and things like that, and really he has a reason. So if his reason stacks up to his ability and he gets it out of himself,
can definitely align with that.
No doubt.
No doubt.
So I'm kind of pulling for him right now.
Okay, sounds good. We'll watch for him this coming week. Let's shift over to the O-line. John, any guys come up to you, center, guard, tackles, guys are going to, I mean, there's some obvious names, on the tackle position, but any guys you're looking at prospects there?
I'm gonna say right now, watching this guy, and we know that the blind side is an important position in football because of going back to guys, Lawrence rush ends that started developing, like Lawrence Taylor, just taking people out. This kid from Oregon, Penny Sewell, he's special. I mean, he's one that you hate to put these labels on kids because they are kids, but when you look at what this guy can do as a leader, as he's 6'6", 330, that's a Hall of Fame caliber kid. I mean, right now, I mean, he's healthy, hasn't had many injuries. So, I look at him as the impact lineman. And the offensive line, quiet as it's kept, that's the most important part of the game. You can have the greatest quarterback in the world. If they don't have protection, they're never going to be able to put their full skills on display. So, I look at him. He's a game changer. Rashawn Slater out of Northwestern, another one.
Love it.
Why Northwestern was so good? They had this guy. If you watch their games, go back and watch their games and look at where they ran. If they ran the football where they ran it, if they were going backside, on a bootleg, who was protecting the blind side, and he's there. I mean, these two stand out to me because you see them, they're downfield after their initial block, taking out a linebacker. They're going to the second level. When you see offensive linemen that are moving, they take care of their initial responsibilities and they move to the second level. Those are the guys that make a difference in the game. That's the game inside the game that you don't see if you're not an educated football fan, but those are the guys that make a real impact. Those two really, they stand out to me. On the guards, I mean, there's this kid from Alabama has Alex Leatherwood,
Ooh.
And he's up there. And then there's another kid there's one from Clemson and one from SC. I know those are the top three, depending on who you.
I think Alex Leatherwood, if I was reading one of his old stats, this was in the season, I think during the playoffs and whatnot, like he's never given up a sack in college football.
He's never been beat?
Never been beat. And I think he's too wide to be beat. Have you seen him? Another
Alabama. I can imagine. He's 6'5", 312. And then
that's terrifying.
The thing about the body composition too, as you go through these, and that's something that people need to understand, you can be 6'5", 312 and look one way and be 6'5", 312 and look another way. And a lot of these kids now, these top 5, top 7, top 10 in any position, their composition is so much different than it would have been 15, 20 years ago. I mean, these guys they're big, they're physical, but they're agile and they're fast.
Mm-hmm.
So I think this plays into your world, John. The best guys, those interior guys, and you being a wrestling coach and a wrestling college wrestler, those interior guys who wrestled, like you want no piece of that. I mean,
you don't want none of that action. you don't want none of that action. We're trying to tell this little plug for anybody that's going to watch. I mean, it's important to play 3 sports or 2 sports just because you need to break up. I mean, there's so much specialization that's going on, and that's not good for any athlete. You need a break, but you need to compete. And if you're a football player, especially on the line, if you have skills learning how to move people with your hands and gain leverage and the endurance that you gain from being involved in wrestling, jump in a swimming pool. I mean, no, big guys aren't going to jump in a swimming pool, but just those guys that wrestled and they're that size, that's 4 quarters of not fun for you if you're on the other side of it.
Yeah.
Been there.
Yeah. So those are the guys to me. I mean, at that position, I don't.
Sounds good. Some teams are going to be happy with like Sewell and Slater. They're going to be real happy when they get those guys in the draft. So let's move over to DBs, John. We'll stay with you a little bit. Any guys you see? Any shutdown corners that jump off the page at you?
So this is an interesting kind of conversation I guess we can have because we're moving along pretty quickly.
Mm-hmm.
I've noticed this trend developing, and it can go in wrestling, but it's anything. Best on best. You were talking about Michigan State not really using their first team versus their second team.
Yep.
The best DB in this draft is Patrick Surtain from Alabama.
Without question.
Who was he competing against every day?
His guys.
In practice, best on best. Because
Yes.
if you go, when we get to receivers, you're going to see, I won't even say anything. You're going to see, when you look down that list of receivers, you're going to see who he was competing against. So it's no wonder he's the best shutdown back in the draft. And he's another one of those guys, man. I mean, you see him like Sewell on the O-line. There's one running back, I think, maybe two out of this draft that are going to get their jackets one day. But this guy is like right away. I mean, you get him, he's impact. He's going to completely, if you're looking at fantasy, he's going to change your defense.
Right. And you know how I know I'm old is that I saw his dad play, right? So
me too. Miami.
Yep.
Exactly, in Miami. And this kid has that pedigree. He's going to basically shut down one side of the field. Strong tackler, great size at 6'2". Like, forget about it. Like, you just draft him, barring injury. You've got 12 years, like you said, gold jacket type situation with
and he's carrying around 200 pounds, like all Alabama corners for some reason. They can carry 200 pounds and run 4.4. He could stand up. You could throw, if he just say his hips don't open like you want him to, he's not moving against. You can move him to safety.
You can bring him, exactly. You can bring him in and put a little bit more on him, and then utilize him that way.
Yeah, can't miss with him.
I mean, if you're playing a spread, if you're playing against a spread, you can bring him in. If you don't have a strong will, that can cover. If you've got a tight, he's big enough to cover. I mean, he'll struggle with Gronk, but anybody would. But he can come over and help you out. When you look at that kid, he's changing your defense. He's changing your scheme. Defensive coordinator's dream. A kid that size, that speed, with the discipline coming out of Alabama, which we're all tired of seeing them win all the time, but there's a reason for it.
Yeah.
I mean, they're good.
What's the story on the kid? Is it Vodtek? Who's the second guy off? I know that.
I was going to talk about this kid out of UCF, Richie Grant, but the kid Vodtek, Caleb Farley. He's another one. He's 6'2". He's just under 200. He's rangy. I don't know. I mean, he's not on the same level as Surtain, but they're coming into a profession. I don't know if a lot of these kids coming out of school think of it that way, but you're coming into your profession. Let's see where you develop. How much time do you spend in the weight room? How much time do you spend on film? What extra work do you put in with the veterans to get to that next level? So he's definitely talented.
Scheme, obviously. Scheme, do they stick this guy on an island, or they put you in a nice zone setting where you're just kind of getting to – it depends. I've seen these good guys get stuck in bad schemes and look real human.
Yeah. So. Yeah. It's got to fit. That's where the GM comes in. The right GMs,
Farley, that would, again, you are getting elite level coaching for most programs in the NFL. But, he was a quarterback in high school. He's played corner for only a couple of years. And then he didn't even play. He opted out of the last season. So all those things to be mindful of. Not necessarily red flags, but again, if I'm picking high in this draft, like I want the sure thing. Farley seems like potentially a project, maybe boom bust there. It sounds like technique and ball hawking is there. Technique probably can be fixed, but maybe some of the other guys, Farley may be as I'm thinking about it, he's probably a second round type player. In this draft.
He's a 2-3. This kid, so I think Richie Grant, which we'll see how draft day goes. If I was gonna be, I guess, not surprised by someone that went sooner than expected. This kid from UCF, Richie Grant, he's a run stopper at safety. He's tough. He's physical. If you watch his game film, he's physical. I mean, that's a good, and he fits the NFL scheme. Again, you're talking about scheme and how the game's being played. The safety's got to play like a linebacker, but they've got to be able to cover like a corner, depending on who you're playing against. And he fits both molds.
He's just gonna make plays for you. That Richie Grant is just gonna make plays for you. That you know,
I love those guys.
Yeah, you need those guys to win. Yep, at a high level. All right, Ron, let's turn over to you. Linebackers. What do you see in there? There's a kid I hope you talk about, but I'll let you get into some linebackers.
There's one we've seen more than we probably want to see of him, and he's probably the number one linebacker up the board here in the Big Ten. Micah Parsons.
Yes.
Just really annoyingly good player if you're playing against them when you look back at in a conference that has some pretty good linebacking play from a lot of teams. Kind of every team has a couple guys who they're both pretty good linebackers. He just stands out. It's just annoyingly good, and he does something that I really envy linebackers that can do, this blitz. Like guys who know it's the most unique talent, and it's going to serve him so well.
Yeah.
And the timing and the ability to get up on the line of scrimmage, time it, blitz in space, come off the edge,
come out of it too. He can get up on the line and go, and he's big enough and quick enough to get through the gap. But then you see him back off into coverage, too, into the zone. I mean, he's.
We've seen too much of him. I'm glad he's in this draft. I'm tired of Micah Parsons. I'm glad he's in this draft.
And it's hurtful because him, and then I'll go on to the next person. These are both kids, obviously Michigan State recruited, and people came in and big dogged them out of our recruiting territories and got them. Jeremiah Owusu, and I cannot say the last name. They're assuming West African.
Koromora.
I'm glad my brothers are here. Another kid I remember from the recruiting cycle. So I watched some tape on him, and then just remember Notre Dame always has these guys. They always have one or two of these guys that are pro ready. I think their challenges as they try to elevate, they need 3 or 4 of them. But anytime you watch Notre Dame, they got 1 or 2 guys who just game changers, fast, come off the edge, get pressure, and do all kinds of stuff. And the last one, Missouri, Nick Bolton, just a tackling machine. Someone I really like. He's my style of linebacker. We were just talking about this the other day about some of these guys in the Big Ten. Like, why is this guy not good? Or he seems to be a tackling machine. He has that touch of athleticism along with that football acumen to just know where the ball's going to go, and he's there. He's in phase, and he's coming in position. He makes every tackle. He's all over the field. So I love those guys. So those are my 3 from the linebacker.
What do you think about these? Because the game's changed a lot. And so when you look at me, you're talking about these guys. What do you think about the future of the inside linebacking position? I mean, 10 years ago, you didn't need to be. You could be a 4'6", 4'5" inside linebacker, and that would get it done. I mean, are these guys fast enough to keep up with today's game?
That guy's gone. We've seen the prototype, and his name is Ray Lewis. I mean,
you're talking about Micah.
Yeah, I hope we're all waiting for the next Ray Lewis. I think that's what he's the reason you throw the 3 levels up there. You throw the 2 bigs inside. You put Suggs on the outside. You think of that defense. You put Ed Reed back there, and you put this guy who can just run sideline to sideline. There's nothing. You better, if they get 21, you lost, because you're not getting 20. You're not getting 22 on them. So that's the guy. So I don't know when the next Ray Lewis is coming, but he was the prototype, I think, from that sideline to sideline, covering guys, and just, running everywhere.
These guys on the outside are interesting too. They're getting bigger and bigger and bigger. I mean, outside linebacker size is the size that these guys, cats on the inside, are not right now.
Yeah, and
going back.
Yeah, it's a weird position right now because you get your 3-4 guys, and you get your but everybody's still looking for that guy who can just run up and get the quarterback, who can be Von Miller, who can be these guys, but still then go cover guy.
But then still co-cover someone, and it's like at some point, I guess it's again scheme. How many people you want to carry on your roster? How quickly and efficiently can you get on and off the field? But something's got to give. I mean, you're not going to be able to have a guy. I mean, how many people are going to be Von Miller? I mean, that's a once every 15, 20 years.
Yeah.
And can you get 3 or 4? Can you get 3 or 4 of them? Because if you're going to run a 3-4, you can get some big hosses and clog up the middle. But then you need 4 guys
that can
really
do that,
run.
that can move. And how are you going to? You're going to keep them for 2 years if you're lucky in NFL.
Unless you're New England, they somehow managed to do it all the time. They'd find the hosses, and they had Vince Wilfork for a long time to shore up, a B C gap by himself, just sitting in there, and then anybody could fit on the outsides, and then they would,
a lot of free oyster dinners and wine. That's how they,
yeah.
they grab these 6-rounders and just wine and dine them. I don't know what they're doing, what they did.
It's just
but
crazy.
yeah, it's hard to maintain.
Over.
Yeah.
So there's my favorite linebackers and
that's
leaders.
a good group. That's a good group. They're going to change the game for sure. Ron, there is one tight end who is. We talked about Gold Jackets earlier, and you and I talked about this. I know John and I have talked about this kid, Kyle Pitts. People are trading up to get at this kid. He's probably going to hear his name very early on Thursday. What do you like about Pitts, and then anybody else in the position group, that you see can change the game, instantly, season 1, week 1 or 2, the guys watching this show that want to draft and be sneaking a draft beyond Kyle Pitts, talk a little bit about him, but then anyone else you see at the position that's going to make an impact here in the fall.
It's tricky down the line after Kyle Pitts. It's a one and done. It's not like kind of given over the last few years. You've seen multiple teams that had multiple tight ends. You think of Iowa, teams like Alabama they'll have 2 that are kind of 1, 2, 3 rounders. This is a 1 tight end draft, in my opinion, and a once in. I always hate to throw these superlatives around about guys.
Those once in
but
a
he's
generation.
250 pounds. He's 250 pounds, and he looks lean, and he moves like I can't believe he's that big. Like I can't.
Look, here's what I'm gonna say about Kyle Pitts, man. And he has no serum in him, right? That's Kyle Pitts, man. The dude looks like Black Captain America. he's just special, man. Like, you watch this dude, you can line him up on the outside. He's fast, and he's gonna be any corner one-on-one. He's gonna be any safety one-on-one. He's gonna be able to run down the middle of the field. If he gets the ball in space, he might get away. And and at the next level,
he's generational. I mean, there's a reason everybody's going after him. He's a there's no. Watching this kid in college, like, you were like, what is this? What am I watching? Like, this is the reason that Kyle Trask looked anything more than an ordinary garbage man was this kid. Him and Kadarius Toney, but Kyle Pitts, holy smokes, like
Randy Moss.
But at a tight, with a tight end
tight end position.
Yeah,
I'll give him Megatron. That's who he reminds me of.
Megatron,
high points, and
pick anyone,
Yeah, it's just ridiculous. And however he goes, the other guys and I had to look these up because not like I sit around and pay close attention to the tight end position because it's weird to me.
Yeah.
What's that? Pat Fairmouth from Penn State is the next guy on the board. We'll see, I guess. I don't remember him. I remember playing Penn State. I don't remember him impacting games. I'm sure he did. He said 300 yards, 23 catches, 37 targets. I mean, that's so pedestrian, in this era for tight end. So there's number 1, Kyle Pitts, and then Tommy Trimble's Notre Dame, pedestrian as well.
Can you imagine Tom Brady, which I know he's on his way out? Can you imagine him having both him and Gronk in the same?
With Aaron Hernandez, right? Same school.
Hernandez is absolutely devastating.
Yeah,
I hate to bring him up. I try to erase him.
Yeah.
I'm just saying now, like, on Tampa Bay's team, do you imagine him getting?
Right. Yeah, I mean, if you're a team that has most of the rest of your your squad and you're just looking for a game changer, you would be well served to trade up for Kyle Pitts. I mean, he really is that special. So there's a reason there. Okay. All right, Mr. Kargbo. We talk about tight ends, running backs, man. People are always looking for these guys in their drafts. We're getting into the good stuff here with running back, receiver, and quarterback, but running backs, what are you looking at in that top grouping of players? Maybe even a sleeper or two at the position at the running back spot here.
So running backs, this draft is interesting because when you really, really analyze the running back position in this draft, I have two and I have a sleeper.
Okay.
Travis Etienne.
Yep.
He's
easy.
I mean, unbelievable speed.
Yeah.
And
come out 2 years ago, right? He was that talented.
He could have come out 2 years ago, but then what he did, he spent a lot of time. I mean, now he's 2 years ago he was 5'10", he was about $195. He's 215 right now, and I imagine he's going to be 220, 225 by the time he gets into a suit. That kid, he's like a Kamara, like he's going to be. Yeah, he's
really Kamara. That's high praise, man.
High praise.
He's on that level, man.
He's got to keep. He's not the CJ Spiller. He's not
No. He's got good hands. He's got good speed. You mean we see Clemson, unfortunately for college football fans, every year in college football playoff, you see the kid. I mean, he could take a licking and keep on ticking, and that's the kind of kid you want at the running back position. You're going to get hit a lot. Sometimes less if you're his size, because you're not going to be an every down back at his size in this day and age. You're not going to get that many carries because they're trying to protect your body, but he's a game changer. I think depending on scheme, but I would rate him above Najee Harris. Najee Harris is another big physical Alabama downhill running back. He's not the tallest. He's not Derrick Henry. He doesn't have a arm made out of titanium, but he's a big physical.
I guess with the question with Harris, is he more Trent Richardson than even like a Mark Ingram? Like where do you see him on that spectrum of Alabama backs?
So much taller.
He's tall. He's 6'1". He's bigger than those. I mean, Mark Ingram was 5'10", and you got to remember this is football. 5'10" on the chart means he's 5'8".
Soaking wet. Soaking tall.
Okay, so they put some orthopedics in his shoes and put him up to a measuring stick. Najee Harris is a big running back. That being said, I mean he's rated the top because I don't see a lot of great backs in this class. There's just not a deep running back class, but he's going to be one that can be consistent for you. He'll get you your 4 to 6 yards of carry. You can feed him the ball 20, 25 times. He can take a beating. He's a big physical back. He's in the Alabama system, so you know that he's trained well. Mm-hmm. I don't see him as, he's not a one that I'd look at and say he's going to get a Hall of Fame jacket. Now, could he prove us all wrong? Absolutely. There's someone in the 4th and 5th round that's going to get one that we're not talking about. But when I look at impact, it's Travis Etienne. And then Trey Sermon, he was a sleeper at OSU.
Yeah, big man.
He's a big guy. And when you look back at like his progression through Ohio State, how he came to be the guy, there's some background work that's being done that's not on the stuff that's not on display. There's a lot of the things I look at when I'm looking at a running back, especially running backs and linebackers. It's what's their work ethic like? What are they doing to progress at that speed? And if they're doing it now, there's no reason to believe they're going to stop. As long as they don't get into some bad stuff, being around the wrong people, bad influences and whatnot. I mean, I think he's a sleeper.
And he came, he spent that time at Oklahoma before he got to OSU, and challenged for carries over there and whatnot. And I think, as we were in that COVID type season, I mean, I think he he really showed himself out well towards the tail end of the season with OSU. So yeah, I like Sermon as well as a guy, in your fantasy drafts you should probably get later. Just kind of depends where he lands,
Yep.
If they have a need, and plus he got thrown into action, you got to remember too, he came and he's learning a new scheme, he's transfer, and then he gets thrown into action and shows out, like puts himself in this draft conversation, because we hadn't even seen him. Sermon was getting maybe 5-8 carries a game.
He was off. Yeah, he wasn't even in the conversation, and now he's in the conversation, talking about being a major impact player on an NFL roster. So
that's amazing.
That's why I was saying, when you study the body of work for guys like that, you see them that he's a great example of the film. Watch the game film. I don't know what his combine numbers are, but watch the game film and then study his history. That tells you what you need to know.
Pretty sure he's got a chip on his shoulder too, which I always like. That always seems that's the great equalizer.
That's the best.
Yeah,
that's the best.
Any other running backs in this class, man? That I know. What about the Carolina kids? Either Williams, Carter, any of those?
Williams. They're high. This is my opinion. I don't see it. I don't see running backs that are going to come in, make a significant impact, have a long career with you as your number one. Could they be your number 2 or number 3? Yes. But if I'm a GM, if you have a pick, they might be someone you can grab and trade to someone who needs it back, who has nobody. They may be somebody that can spell, your Najee Harris or Travis Etienne, because you need that. You have to have someone that can step in for your workhorse. But I don't see at the running back position in this draft a lot of depth. It's one of those drafts where if you get so many chips. I'm definitely putting them on the offensive line or on the defensive side of the football. I'm not going to spend it on running backs in this draft.
I think it's starting to beg the question: is the fact that running backs been so diminished? Are guys not playing running back? Are these guys now strong safeties? Are these some of these guys who maybe played running back young? I'm wondering, and I'm seeing in the recruiting spaces now where guys are like, schools are recruiting them as running backs and they're trying to switch positions. I can think one in my mind right now, which I won't speak of, but because
it's such a short-lived career, and it's underutilized too. You don't have a lot of
3-down bell cows. Yeah,
you don't have teams aren't committing to it. If you want to you can play that style of football, but you have to commit to it. You've got to build. You got to have the offensive line in place, +1. You got to have a tight end that can block and hold you down. Your receivers need to be more physical, or you have to have one that's flanked to the outside that's so talented or so dangerous that they require like a Calvin Johnson. So now you've got to shift to that side of the field to cover him. You put that receiver opposite of where you're going to run the football primarily. And
I think it's happening in Little League too, because I think obviously when you coach Little League kids, the quarterback's the best athlete in the league, burns everybody from that QB spot, and he runs all over the place. And then they were switching those kids and making them wideouts and running backs, once they weren't. But now they're saying athletic guys can stay at quarter. So if they're staying there longer, I think the position is diminishing in the rank. We've had 15 years of diminishing utilization of tailbacks year over year. I think there's guys moving out of that spot to play other spots.
It used to be the spot you wanted to be in, and now, Lamar Jackson is not built like a running back. But if you have Lamar Jackson, why do you need what do you need? It's a benefit to have a dynamic running back, but is it a necessity? Not really.
Yeah.
So you see that at lower levels.
Throw that guy a toss. Throw Lamar Jackson a toss in high school. He's got 50 touchdowns.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like.
Yep. So. All right. Well, the running back class is not where you want to spend your dollars in this draft, but I think you might want to a receiver. There are a ton of them.
Yes.
A ton of them, but the top 5, in my estimation, the one guy that we all loved last year, who sat the year out, Jamar Chase, game breaker, game changer, for me in that Kyle Pitts sort of discussion. Realistically, 6 foot, 201, but like Chase is just a freak. I've heard some rumblings about him getting, Cincinnati doing whatever it takes to pair him back up with Joe Burrow. That would be delicious for Chase to get back with Burrow. Obviously, the two Alabama kids, I'll get in them in a second with Devontae Smith and Jalen Waddle. I love Kadarius Toney, getting him in space. He's very much like not as thick as Hill in Kansas City, but he's got some of that capability. He kind of played a little bit of running back, a little bit of receiver. He's going to be a very nice pick for you, depending where he lands in the late rounds in your fantasy drafts. And then Terrence Marshall, also another LSU kid. It just seems like all they do is produce people at the wideout spot. Now, Chase, Marshall, Toney, great fits for almost any scheme you really put them in. Toney really kind of the spark plug special player. The two Alabama receivers, okay, we all know about Devontae Smith winning the Heisman, just a freak, right? Just a freak. He's not a freak athlete, but just immaculate route runner, catches.
Whatever happens here is going to be the Lions' undoing. We got to throw them back in there. This is where they come in the draft.
Potentially. And
whatever
so
they pick, career's over.
The thing for me between Smith and Jalen Waddle is I really feel like Jalen Waddle would have been Devontae Smith if not the injury. Jalen Waddle, to me, is better than Devontae Smith, even though Smith won the Heisman and all that stuff. Waddle is a freak athlete. Like, you're talking about him in the top 10 as well. You're going to be happy. So for me, Devontae Smith is a solid receiver. He's going to be, a 10-year pro. He's going to come in. He's going to work hard. He's going to do what you need in your program. But if I'm a GM and I'm on a clock and I need someone to be explosive, fast twitch, change the game, I got to get me Chase, or I got to go ahead and get Jalen Waddle.
And I know you're not going to leave this without throwing my guy. You know who my guy is. Are you going to talk on my guy here at this position? Are you saving him?
I'm not. Who do Bateman from
Rondell Moore?
No, hold on. We just talked about this pre-show. We talked about. Okay, I will talk about him. I will give you
Rondell Moore.
About Moore from Purdue. Rondell Moore. Give me 90 seconds on why a team should pick Rondell Moore.
This better be good.
Simply electric. I know the injury history is concerning. This is a say boomer bust type pick, but at the low end he's DeAndre Cobb. At the high end, he may be someone we haven't seen before. Running back level ball carrying ability, makes guys miss in space, embarrasses them. The game he had against Ohio State when they blew Ohio State out of the building, he embarrassed their entire secondary.
But we're talking about the next level, man. This dude's as tall as my daughter and maybe like a 10th of a 40 faster. Like, what are you doing? What are we doing? And he's in Purdue.
I just like him. I'll put my stake down here. Bring me back on the 2 year from now show, and we'll see what he did.
Yeah.
Look, we gotta put this one. If he's on a roster in 2 years,
he's my
active roster in 2 years.
You got sleepers.
We're going to. I got this guy.
Yes.
How about this?
It's Big Ten love.
You heard it here first.
We'll make this saucy. If Rondell Moore is a contributor in 2 years, we will go to the opening in his third year. We'll just all go to this game.
We're going to the game.
Yeah. There it is. That's a good. I like that a lot.
And the trips on me. If he's on an active roster in 2 years, we're going to wherever he's playing. Trips on me.
There we go.
Opening game. For the foresight and wisdom.
Yeah.
Because they're out there.
They're out there.
Yes, my God.
I can't be mad at it.
Yes, I know he's 5'7".
I'm surprised surprised at that one. It surprised me.
But again, there's receivers we didn't get into, Bateman. I mean, there's a lot of guys. It's just gonna matter fit where they land or whatnot. But those top five are just studs, just stud receivers. They're gonna make you happy. And again, for me, the delineation is between Waddle and Smith. I feel like if Waddle can find his way to Miami with Tua, that you're gonna see a new Tua when you have a guy who can break the top of the defense in Jalen Waddle.
Well, it'll be interesting to see who ends up with Matt Stafford.
Yeah,
if they get him some weapons out there.
Yeah, exactly.
Oh boy.
It might be a Terrence Marshall. I don't think I knew that stat. I didn't know he had 23 touchdowns in 2 seasons.
Yeah,
he might be the Jefferson of this draft.
Yes,
like he might be the
and people. If you played Justin Jefferson last year, how many times for those Discord members of ZSN, I would be like, you got to play Justin Jefferson. I know he's a rookie, but this kid's a freak, and you won money. Justin Jefferson all day long, baby, all day long. All right, we have reached the position that gets all the fanfare, has all the hype. Everybody loves them. They get all the ladies. Like, it's quarterback, right? It's these guys are the household names. We don't want to start with them. We end with them because everybody knows them. T-Law, Lawrence, Zach, and Justin Fields. And I guess we can throw in Mac Jones. We'll have a discussion real quick on that guy because I don't get it.
I
think Lawrence is the generational talent at this position, obviously, right? Like he's pretty much close to can't miss. The only thing that's going to screw him up is he's got to go to Jacksonville, right? So we know what they do. But he has all the tools. He probably would have been the first pick after his freshman year and his sophomore year. He's at 6'6", 213. You've seen him on TV because they're on TV every week. He's been in the big stage. Enough said, right? Trevor Lawrence, you draft him in your fantasy draft. He's going to make mistakes, but I can see on the low end, like a Justin Herbert, how he played last year in LA, playing so well. And on the high end, I mean, you're talking like a Manning, an Elway. I mean, this kid. I hate to say it because I'm not a big Clemson fan. This kid is special. Trevor Lawrence is special.
Yeah.
That
first Notre Dame game.
Go ahead.
Quaffo, that first when he didn't play. And you just kind of got to see the difference in Notre Dame's looking all-American, beating Clemson with tight ends,
right?
Throwing three tight end sets at him and running them all over the field. You just see like his presence alone, along with it. I was like, okay, there's something to this guy. I was kind of thinking, is this hype? But that game has absolutely showed me
leadership.
Yeah,
his leadership, his presence, the game inside the game, the stuff that he can do. The intangibles that he brings too. I mean, forget about how good he is as a quarterback.
Yeah.
You could tell when he's there, when he was playing, what he brought on the field is just different.
Yeah, his defense looked lost against Notre Dame without him playing. That tells me he permeates the whole team, which changed everything for me.
Yeah, he's your franchise cornerstone for 10 years. You just got to not screw up around him. So, Zach Wilson for me at BYU, productive player. I think the Jets are looking at him. I mean, I guess I don't know. Like Trey Lance, he's been buzzed for the last year or so, and working with some QB gurus. I've worked with some other guys in the league. Lance, small school situation for me. Not a total disqualifier, but North Dakota State. Is this going to be another Carson Wentz situation? I just don't know with Lance. For me, the kid in this top 4 that keeps going underlooked, and again, it's Big Ten bias, but I'm telling you, maybe it's a Cam Newton. If he's a Cam Newton, I'll take that all day. Justin, just big, strong.
Justin Fields.
Yep.
I want the Lions to take him.
Well, and this is the thing with Fields. Like, he made the switch from Georgia to come up to OSU, 2 extremely productive years, in big games. The knock I had on him was his ability to see the whole field. He would sometimes, especially as last year, not this past season, but the season prior, he would lock onto one side of the field.
He's not reading the game.
Right. He didn't seem
He's got to see. He's got to be comfortable seeing where the ball's going to go before he let it go.
Right. I
mean, Ohio State's offense does that too, particularly when you sit in that pistol. You're in that short shotgun. It makes you read. It messes guys. Once he gets with another coach.
That's why they don't have a lot. You don't see a lot of pro quarterbacks come out of Ohio State because the way that they're designed, they're not scheming, like understanding, okay, this is the play we're calling against this defense. I understand that my first and second read are probably a bust if I'm playing against top level opponent. I need to be looking for my third and fourth.
Well, it helps when you run 4-4 because then that second read might be run.
Exactly. His second read is like, oh, it's not there. there's a pocket there. All right, I'm gonna pick up 25.
Yeah.
I think Justin Fields, though, with the right tutelage, the right offensive coordinator, the right group of people around him to help. So he's not Trevor Lawrence. He's not going to come in and lead a franchise. No. But give him 2 years, he could. 2, 3, 4 years, he could lead a franchise. And to be honest, that arm strength, that speed,
that size,
his character, his
character, man. Hey, if you're gonna roll the dice on something, you do every draft. Roll it on that guy. I'm rolling it on that guy. No question.
Totally agree. Yeah, he's gonna make some team happy in the back half of the first round. I don't think he drops out of the first round, but
he's following these mocks, and somebody's targeting him though, because you saw the whole epilepsy report come out on him.
Yeah,
that always tells you that some GM is targeting him. You know, because they used to use the test scores. They target a kid, and like now they're just releasing your HIPAA protected information now just to torpedo you. Like, it's unbelievable, but it's a week to go, and he has some epilepsy history.
It might be to his benefit because he doesn't want to be on the Jets. Don't go to the Jets. I mean, don't go to these loser franchises. If he can end up in that mid part of the first round,
I would love it if the Lions grabbed him, but they won't. But I would love it if they grabbed him.
Two guys, they're not gonna. That takes foresight and wisdom. And we don't even we don't want to put that on him. Forget about the Lions.
What do you mean we don't put that on him? I do want him there. I don't want him. I want him there for my own selfish Lions fan reasons. But for him, for his development, he shouldn't be there.
Yeah.
The Lions are under the curse of not selecting Aaron Donald, and nothing will ever go right for you because you didn't pick Aaron Donald when he was sitting on your board. So
curse. That's an old Jamaican curse on him there. So
it's a curse.
The last guy at the quarterback spot that is getting all this hype, and I'm still struggling to see why. Mac Jones from Alabama. I feel personally made it productive, right? The receivers, that grouping, that O-line, they made him productive. And so he's rocketing up these draft boards as some stud. If I'm a GM, I'm taking probably any of those 4 other guys before I take Jones. And I might even go, I see Kellen Mond is up there in the top 10 of quarterbacks. Kellen Mond has some physical tools, doesn't read the field as well, but I might take Kellen Mond before Mac Jones. I'm not seeing all this Mac Jones love.
Yeah, I don't.
Him for fantasy. I wouldn't draft him. I mean, he maybe he does turn into a Brady-esque kind of thing, but why pick him in the first round? What are you doing?
I'm gonna defer to Ron on that one.
Well, if you think Tasker's next, and then Mod's next, and then you go. I'm going through the list here. Davis Mills. If you start going down the thing, he's kind of the cutoff though. Either way, he's your 5th best probably if you're going down the. But I don't know how he passed Justin Fields. I don't know what happened and where that happened.
He's my read on him is if you're evaluating CEOs, right, in big business or little business, small business, whatever, this guy is you're going to evaluate the CEO that has no leadership team around him or the CEO that has the best top level executive leadership team around him. That's Mac Jones. I mean, it's easy to look good when you have the best running backs, the best offensive line, the best
coaches,
wide receivers, the best coaches, the best. You have everything. Everything's teed up for you. It's easy to look good in that format. Let's send you. Hey, come to Michigan State. Let's see how good you are. I mean, go to Rutgers. Go to.
Are we still waiting on an Alabama quarterback to produce? Am I forgetting someone who's come from Alabama?
The book's still out on Tua, right? We got to see what he has. There's an injury and coming back from there.
Can we throw Hurts in there if he does anything? Do we give Alabama credit
Hurts
for that?
Could probably be thrown in there. But yeah, I mean, they have a very built-in NFL type system, so it's hard to deduce whether or not it's the player or the system. And for me, Mac Jones, I mean, the Niners are talking about moving up. Are you crazy? Like, what are you doing?
Mac Jones is not the guy. We may all be eating crow, but I don't
We'll
think
go
that's
watch
gonna
his
happen.
game too. He's our inverse Rondell Moore.
Yeah,
We're going to Matt Jones' game if he balls out.
I'm just saying, like, if you just think about Alabama's offensive line.
Right.
Yep. I think about the defense and how I never done this math, but how many more possessions a game does that quarterback have?
It's all 3 and outs.
Yeah.
And on short field too.
Yeah.
It's all 3 and outs on a short field. It's not just 3 and outs. You get 3 and outs and you start every drive on the right side of the 50, or damn near the right side of the 50. You mean?
Yeah, I can't rock.
You don't score on 3 possessions, you can't beat Alabama.
Exactly.
So how much pressure games has he played? I know he's played big games, but how much 3-point, 1-point, 2-point games has he played?
Yeah. Not enough to warrant where he is on the draft board.
And that's all it is in the NFL. These are 2-point, 3-point, 1-point games.
Right. Yeah. In fantasy world, I don't think Mac Jones, no matter where you get, don't waste a pick on Mac Jones. That's got to be a show me situation. Look for Justin Fields where he lands. Look for even Zach Wilson, probably with the Jets, and obviously Trevor Lawrence, it goes without saying. So, all right. Well, we hit all the positions. We went through the draft. We started one way, ended the other way. Any parting words from you, Ron, on this draft show?
This has been an absolute blast. Even more fun than I anticipated. I really enjoyed with you guys, and we're going to definitely put a fork in this Rondell Moore pick. You'll see me back on the show again. I'll be talking about it. We're rolling with more. Purdue, we're boiler up, baby. We're boilering up.
You boiler up all you want, buddy. Hey, what are you going to give me if he doesn't get on the roster?
We'll see. I'm rolling the dice.
All right, John. Any parting words for you, man?
Oh man, this is fun. This was awesome. Always fun to talk sports, especially on your show, especially with you guys. This Rondell Moore thing's got me scratching my head on. This is gonna be ongoing. This is gonna be an ongoing thing. It's not gonna end. Yeah. Hey, I'm gonna say this. I'll throw mine out there, man. Travis Etienne. I'm telling you, that guy's got it. He does.
Yeah.
So,
you put him in there.
Thank you, John, for the water's wet analogy you just threw out there. It really stretched. Way to stretch your sports acumen on that one. Fastest guys ever to play the position. You really put yourself out there.
Hey. He'll be listen. He'll be a Hall of Famer. How about that?
Okay.
If he doesn't get injured, injuries, like major injuries barring, he'll be a Hall of Famer.
I'll take that.
There you got it. Yeah, you pushed. You got it. There, Quaffo, you got your content. You got the back and forth, man.
Yeah, I love it.
What's your hot take? Give us a hot take for the road, Quaffo.
Give us something, yeah.
I got a few. We talked about Pitts getting his gold jacket. We talked about Surtain getting his gold jacket. You know what? I feel like Justin Fields is going to be a quarterback in the Super Bowl in the next 10 years. He's going to be on one side of a Super Bowl team in the next 10 years.
I hope he's wearing a blue uniform.
Yeah,
good one. That's a good. I'm excited to watch that.
Yeah, exactly. Well,
it's on record. It's all on record. Just so you know, it's on the record.
This lives on YouTube. So from my man Ron, my man John, I appreciate you guys joining us, going through the draft preview. You'll see more content from us from ZSN over the summer as we go through. We'll probably get back on here and talk a little bit about where these kids land and whatnot. And we'll get you ready for the season. Again, www.zillasportsnetwork.com. You can find actions there. You can sign up. We're on Twitter, the same handle, Zilla Sports Network. Join us. There's a lot of fun, a lot of frivolity. This type of stuff you get all the time. So for Ron, for John, I'm Spartanzilla, Quaffo. Peace out, gentlemen.
Peace, guys.